Hey, good morning. Rise and grind. Though it may not be morning when you're watching this, it is certainly morning when I'm recording this. It has been a morning of challenges with Facebook. I tried recording this as a live broadcast on Facebook, but Facebook has done a much better job of live when you kind of take one of these things and you put it up and you hit live and you want to do one of these selfie live type things than it is with being able to stream live to it in a professional kind of situation. I am here in Austin, Texas, in our podcast studio, which is actually an apartment. It's an apartment set up with multiple sets, and I am not at the set. I'm sitting at the little table, desktop, whatever, where I produce these kinds of things. Going to be thinking about whether I'm going to keep streaming to Facebook. Back in Frisco a year and a half ago, before we moved, I reached that point of frustration where I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to just stream to YouTube, look at other solutions, maybe Vimeo, something like that. I may be back there again because you just have to have a platform that's reliable. Talk about reliable. You got to be able to count on yourself. You got to know that what you are doing is going to move you to a place where it is that you want to be and that you can count on the end result. So, today, day one, as every other day is, day one of 365. It's about having a goal that's out there in the future that I've got to march towards, that's long enough away that it's pretty stretchy, but not so far away that I feel frustrated by the fact that it's taking so long to get there. So every day is day one. Because you know, when day one comes of something, you just get excited about it. Like, man, the first day of a new job, the first day of a honeymoon, the first day of a vacation, the first day that you get to drive that new car that you've been saving up for. Day one is never a challenge. So every day in my life is day one. Today, well, we're going to talk about something that's been on my mind for a while. I've been thinking about, well, what happens if I were to stop working? How close am I to being in a place that I'd be financially secure? You know, what if I had right now $1 million in the bank? Because that's that magic number that so many people look at as being a millionaire. What does being a millionaire mean? If I had $1 million in the bank, tax-free, post-tax money, what would that allow me to do? And I like to think of it in terms of how long am I going to be around? I am a 57-year-old guy, and I hope to live for another 30 years. Um, I get a little worried sometimes, particularly at the moment, because my mom passed away at 58. I'm almost there, but that's not going to paralyze me. I'm going to look and say, well, I want to be like my grandparents that lived into their 80s. My dad, who is now in his 80s. That's where I'm going. So I figure I have another 30 years, maybe more. But if I were to just do the math based on 30, what would that look like? Being 57, 30 years left, what would that be? So I started doing the math. And I looked at, wow, $1 million, and I divide that by the 30 years, gives me my burn rate. How much would I be able to spend on a yearly basis over that 30 years? So like, what's my annual salary? Because we negotiate our salaries and how much is that? So, $33,000 a year. But then I had to break it down a little bit more because the reality is we don't do budgets based on what that annual salary is. We then break it down to, well, what's it going to cost me per month? Because it's the easiest thing to kind of work towards. The phone company wants to know, that I can pay them X number of dollars per month. My landlord or mortgage provider says you have to send X number of dollars per month. Most bills happen on a monthly basis, so therefore most budgets happen on a monthly basis. So I took the $33,000 and I divided it by 12, which gave me a monthly burn rate of $2,750 per month. That's how much money I could spend each and every month for the next 30 years. I thought about, okay, $2,750. Well, what do I have to actually spend money on? Well, many of you know that I was doing this thing called Walking While Black, which started as my trying to get out of the medical system to a degree because I felt like the doctors were just wanting to prescribe pills and they weren't giving me good stuff. So I was trying to control my type 2 diabetes through exercise and diet. And I was working really hard at it and doing a really great job with it. But the thing I knew was I needed to continue to have health insurance. And so, me being a 57-year-old guy with type 2 diabetes, my health insurance is about $1,300 per month. And that number keeps going up. Hopefully they fix the medical system and that number will get reduced somehow. I'm not looking for a single payer and Medicare for all. Let's not go there. But I hope that number doesn't keep going up. When we first got group health insurance so that I could cover my type 2 diabetes, so we get group insurance through my business about a decade ago, a little more than a decade ago, it was about $600 a month. So over a decade, the cost for my health insurance has doubled. But at the moment, it's about $1,300 a month. So if I subtract that $1,300 from the $2,750, which I have available to me at my monthly burn rate, that leaves me with $1,450. That's not a ton of money. And I haven't even figured in, what I got to have a place to live. At the moment, I do have a one-bedroom apartment. It's not where I live, but it is where I stay. Being it's down in Austin, Texas, and we do a lot of work for a client here. And in order to stay in a hotel as much as we needed to be here, it was just cheaper to have an apartment. And it also gave the ability to set up the apartment basically as a studio and provide us with a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom where we could stay and also keep all of our gear while we're here so we're not lugging things back and forth because, even if I stay in the same hotel, they're not going to want to put my gear up every time I leave and then come back and set it up and all of that. So it gives a place to just have a setup. Well, so I know what it costs. And we were trying to keep it as cheap as we possibly could. So we're in an apartment and it's about $1,600 a month. It's actually a little bit more than that once you include all of the utilities and everything. But for the sake of it, we'll say $1,600 a month. Now, this isn't what it would cost for a one-bedroom or studio apartment in downtown Manhattan. It's not what it costs to live in LA or Silicon Valley or one of those places. And it might be a little bit more than it could be in some very rural places. Like, I used to live in Gardner, Massachusetts, and you might be able to still get a one-bedroom apartment in Gardner for a little bit less than this. But, it's average. So if I take that $1,600 per month and I subtract it from what I had left after paying health insurance to make sure that a medical emergency doesn't immediately send me into bankruptcy, I have negative $150. Yeah, it's not $150. I'm already in the hole. I'm burning more than I knew I had available to me if I were to budget it out over 30 years. So at some point in time, before that 30 years is up, I'm now already going to be out of money. Unfortunately, that isn't all there is. I didn't talk about food. We can live without water for some significant period of time, but we can live without food for even more time, but not very long. I think, I don't know what it is, 3 days you can go without water and like 14 days or something without food. I can't communicate with the outside world because I don't have a phone, haven't paid for it yet. I can't go visit friends or even get to the doctor if I need to get to the doctor because I don't have a car, can't afford gas, I can't afford insurance for the car. I'll talk about insurance again. Those numbers are just crazy with all the insurance that you have to pay. And not talking about any medical bills that might exist. So if I just have a basic high blood pressure medication or a cholesterol medication or a diabetes medication or God forbid, all of those things, or I'm on some situation where I need blood thinners. All of those things go and cost money. So now my burn rate's even greater. God forbid something happens, and if I have insurance, that's great. If I have to, something catastrophic happens, I can go to the doctor and those bills kind of get paid, that type of thing. But maybe it means that I can't live in this apartment anymore. So great, I don't have to pay that $1,600 a month to be in an apartment. But now I do have to pay $6,000 to $10,000 per month in order to live in an assisted living facility. And if you've shopped for assisted living for a parent or a grandparent or something like that, this is a real number, and it's not even a high number. That number can go well above and beyond that $6,000 to $10,000 per month. So what does that mean if we're talking about having $1 million in the bank at 57 years old? It means that retirement's not in sight. We are nowhere close to the point where we can stop having income. We got to keep working. So, I like to think I got a couple of things that I got to do. I got to figure out how to keep working so retirement isn't going to happen and I don't have the $1 million cash in the bank. And it might be good that I don't have the $1 million cash in the bank because cash in the bank is going to lose money. What you want to do if you have that $1 million is you want to take that $1 million and put it in a place where it's going to have babies, where it is working for you in a way where it will continue to produce income for you throughout your life. When you pass away, if you have kids like I have kids, and you want to leave them something, you don't just leave them a life insurance check for a certain amount of money that they can go and spend and blow, because that's what happens. I did it. My mom left me a significant amount of money, and we'll talk about that in other videos, but I spent it. What you want to do is you want to take that and put it into something that's going to grow, and grow that $1 million into something which will replace the income you have right now. So if I'm thinking, well, in order to get that $1 million or more than $1 million, I did that by earning $100,000 a year, $300,000 a year, $1 million a year, and I was able to set aside X number of dollars to grow that pot. I've now got to take it and put it in something which will replace that $100,000, $300,000, $1 million per year. So I've got to think about what are those vehicles to be able to put them in. And I think those vehicles change based upon time. The most valuable asset which you have is you. Human capital is the most valuable thing you have. So if you're young, and even if you're old, but certainly if you're at a younger age, take that money and invest it in yourself. Grow yourself. Create something which can't be taken away from you. If we have a financial collapse, what you've invested in yourself in terms of knowledge and training, it doesn't go away. Nobody can steal it from you. So invest in yourself. And once you've made a significant investment in yourself where you've reached a level where you believe you have a certain amount of expertise and it is now enabling you to generate income at a high level, take that income and put it in something which presents a passive return. Where if you go on vacation for a week, you still have a paycheck at the end of that week, that you're not worrying about money. Because reality is, we worry about money. The absolute number one reason that most marriages fail is money. Because we worry about money. Do yourself the favor and learn what I didn't learn for a long time. I had a mentor by the name of Coach Ernie Peterson. He was the United States Olympic Committee Developmental Coach of the Year for tennis in 2004, 2003. Okay, long time ago now. He's been passed away for a while. And he would call me at this time, 5:30 in the morning, and he would say, "Boy, get up. You can't make no money in the bed." A lot of people have said, "Did he really say that to you?" Yes, he would really call me and say that to me. And I listened to him about a lot of things. I'm a world-class tennis coach. Not bragging, just is what it is. Part of how I got there was through the lessons he taught me. But then he'd have those other moments where he was acting more like dad. And he would say, "Boy, do you have your money right? Let me see what your money looks like. How much money you got in stocks? How much money you got put away?" Well, I always turned that conversation to something else because I didn't want to hear it. To me, that was Charlie Brown's teacher talking, just wah, 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 wah. I don't want to hear it, dude. And I wasn't disrespectful like that as I was presenting it to him, but I really didn't want to hear about it. Why didn't I want to hear about it? Because I didn't have it right. He asked me after my mom passed away and left me some money, "What'd you do with the money?" Didn't want to tell him. He knew what I did with the money. He saw me walking around with some new clothes on. He saw me driving a new car. He saw me kind of living the life, so to speak. So he knew. And he was trying to tell me that what I was doing was just burning my way to being broke. That I was already poor and I didn't even know I was poor. I thought I was rich. I had this windfall of cash. I had money in the bank. I could do what I wanted. But I was broke. Or on my way to being broke. So, invest in yourself. Earn income. Take some of that income and don't put it in the bank. Maybe stock it up because maybe what you want to do is you want to invest in something which costs money. You want to invest it back into your business and your business needs machinery or your business needs to be able to hire somebody else and you need to be able to make sure you have the capital available to be able to make sure you can pay that person's salary for some period of time. But don't leave it in the bank because it's losing money when it's in the bank. If you think about where inflation is and you think about what you can get by having money in the bank, it's losing money all the time. But use it as a place to store money to be able to start investing in some of those other things. And then once you get a little further down the road, make sure those investments are ones which, if you just walk away from them, they will produce money for you. I learned that lesson. I got to go about the business of finishing up day one of my next 365. You have a wonderful day. Let me know what you think. What are you doing to make sure that you are on the path to financial freedom, not being tired and broke? Till next time, peace.